quote is, the greatest danger in communication is that it actually occurred. And here, just to make the point, and if you've played this game with me before, just don't play. If not, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask you a question again, just to make this point. But for you to hear it, I need to just pause for a minute, because there we go. Hit the pause button.
Where's the sign?
Go. Okay. So here, I'm going to ask you a question, and the answer to the question is really easy. It's just a number. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to say out loud what you believe to be the answer. And the answer, again, is it's a number. I'm going to make it really fast. Here's what's going to happen. The likelihood is you're going to say a number, and in a room full of this many people, there's somebody somewhere in the room who's going to say a number that's not the same as your number. And you're going to want to tell them out loud why they're wrong. You can't do that. You can't do that. In the next 90 seconds, no kidding, you can't do that. The only thing you can do in the next 90 seconds is say an answer to this question, and the question's really easy. How many of each animal did Moses take on the ark? How many of each?
Two.
Okay, it's done. Don't say anything else. So just, how many of you said or thought two? Put your hand up, said or thought two. Yeah, which is not right. Did anybody, without saying what the number is, did anybody say a number other than, or think another number other than two? So there's only one person in the room who said thought of a number, and I hate to ask him because he's smiling. He already knows what it is. Tell him why 2 is incorrect.
Because Moses didn't take any animals.
See, he sent us to lunch, we had a glass of wine, now our brain's a little foggy, and now he's asking us these numbers questions. No kidding, listen up, blow up, seriously, listen. Oh, listen, seriously. This is a huge problem. I mean, I asked you this, and I want to take you back. Do you not think in the dynamic between you and another human, if you ask them questions, don't you think they're paying attention to whether or not you're paying attention? As in sincere, respectful listening, which I've said a number of times. And yet, we're not really capable of it. What just happened is what typically happens. People are predictable. You thought you knew where I was going, and you went there and you waited for me to catch up. And you missed a word. You missed just one word. Here's what every master negotiator in the world knows, and so do you now. Most arguments are not arguments. Most of them are just misunderstandings, because we don't listen. We're not trained to listen. This is one of those skills that becomes a learned skill. So this kid, Ivan, this is going to end up okay. It's not an easy story to tell, but it'll end up okay. When I was a teacher, when I was in my 20s, I always thought sooner or later someday I'd get married and I'd have children. Never happened. Not sure why. Probably I got too busy and did too many open houses on Sunday afternoon.
Are you bitter about that?
And I am bitter about that. that and losing 11 listings at one time. I'm still bitter about that.
You need
But
to
no. Seriously, here's the problem. There's at least 5 or 6 school teachers in the room, or maybe people are still teaching and doing this part-time. As teachers, you sit in a room and you see these people go through your room, and you think to yourself, someday I'm going to have children. Please don't let me have one of those. I mean, seriously, there's some that's like, oh no, how did this person become that? But the other happens too. And I had this. I mean, right away there's this one example of. So Ivy is this one kid who was in my homeroom for 3 years. No kidding. She's in my homeroom for 3 years. She's one of those perfect kids. She's the kid that you want. She's really cute. She's really bright. She's a straight A student. She's on student council. She plays field hockey. She plays girls basketball. I mean, you know what? She's just. I want one of her someday. She's in my homeroom for 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. In 9th grade, she comes in, hey, Mr. Hatch, everything seems to be okay. The very first quarter, I hand out report cards, because we hand out report cards in homeroom. And she's got 2 B's on her report card for the very first time ever. That was a message. See, that may not seem like a message to you, but I got to tell you, I said this a number of times, you cannot not communicate. Something's going on. The problem is, it's not that serious, and I blew it off, because 2 B's, what the heck. By mid-year, hand out the next set of report cards around Christmas time. She's got a couple C's, she's got 1 D, she's got a couple B's. And she's not on student council anymore, she doesn't go out for basketball. Come on, man, is not something happening here? See, by listening, I'm not hearing something. By springtime, no kidding, it's springtime, she's wearing short sleeve shirts again, and I see, because I'm trained to see, makeup on her arm because she's shooting up the heroin and cocaine thing I talked about earlier. She's wearing the same clothes to school 2 or 3 days in a row. Her hair's all, obviously something's wrong. Luckily, she comes to me looking for help. And it takes a couple months. I mean, we have this conversation, we have this conversation on a regular basis. And after a couple months, she finally starts to tell me what her father's doing to her in her house. Well, yeah, here we go. The problem is, we're 2 hours into this conversation, and the average attention span for the average human being in America is like 20 minutes. Even if you're trained to do it, you know what, people fade. You sort of fade. Have you not ever been in a conversation with somebody and you're looking right at their face and you can tell they didn't move their eyes for crying out loud, but you know they went away? Did you not ever see that happen? Do you understand what that does to a 14-year-old girl who's telling you that, and you're 2 hours into it, and just for a second, she looks across the table and she sees you're just gone now for a second. Do you have any idea what just happened in this dynamic? Do you have any idea of the potential of what just happened in this dynamic? Do you understand? If you're going to ask people stuff and they start to tell you, the worst thing you could possibly do is blow them off. You'd be better off not asking. There's nothing more insulting to somebody than to ask them what their opinion is and discount it totally. No kidding. You'd be better off not asking. But I say again, the problem is, but we do it all the time, because we're not really trained to listen. This is a semester, no kidding, which we're going to do in 15 minutes or less. There are some active listening skills to make sure if you're asking a seller or a buyer or anybody, anything, that you really, really don't fade on them, because the impact will not be as drastic as Airbnb. And by the way, she forgave me. Everything turned out okay. But could have lost her. Could have lost her in a heartbeat. I'm the only one she came to. No kidding. Could have lost her. So here. I have